Now, I know a lot of you have been eyeing the new Mac Candy that Apple just released. Well, of course, we had our very own Leo Laporte take a look and tell you if it's something that you need in your life.
Hi, Father Robert. Guess what I have? Lighter than air. It's the new Apple Macbook. Remember the Mac Lust we had when they first showed this a few months ago? Well, of course, I ordered it right away, but it takes forever to get. This is the gold model. I mean, if you're going to go with a MacBook, why not go with gold? And we've had it for a little time now, so we have some idea. Lisa and I do. This is really hers. Mine is also back-ordered. We have some idea of what you could expect with this. On the bright side, this thing is really thin and really light, just about 2 pounds. You can carry it anywhere, 12 inches, but the display is gorgeous. It is a Retina display, and that means you're going to get everything that the Retina display promises. Great pictures, really strong, crisp text that makes it very easy to read. It's 16 by 10, 2304 by 1440. That means 226 pixels per inch. But remember, the way Apple works this, you're going to be using half of that resolution because you use the high DPI. Same number of pixels per inch. That actually makes it look a little crisper. The batteryless design makes it really quiet and light. It almost is like an iPad with keys, but of course it's using the full OS X. Speaking of keys, that's something a lot of people have complained about. Might take some getting used to. Because it's so thin, Apple's redesigned its keyboard. You'll notice the bigger keycaps means it's easier to find a key, but there is very little travel on here, and that means you're going to, believe it or not, be hitting it harder than you think. It's also harder to be accurate at first. You get used to it, but I would recommend trying the keyboard before you buy because there are people who just can't take the keyboard. I happen to like Apple's new Force Touch Trackpad. That's the one where even though it doesn't move, it feels like it clicks when you tap it. It also, if you press and hold it even more, it does a second click, which gives you additional features. I have to say, I have yet to get used to this Force Touch. In fact, I never know what's going to happen, so I just turned that off. Still works just fine, still clicks, does all of that. That's using a haptic engine built in. The other thing people really complained about with this MacBook is that it only has the one connector, the USB Type-C. Oh, and there's a little microphone connector there, too. Or I guess those are headphones. The microphones are these two little bitty ports there. All the connectivity comes through this Type-C port, not just power for charging. And by the way, if it's fully charged, you can connect your phone to it, your iPhone, and charge it right back if you have the right cable. Also, video comes out of there, and it's USB. So Apple sells an $80 dongle that gives you a normal USB Type B port, USB 3.0. It also gives you a full-size HDMI port. That's kind of nice. And another Type-C so you can continue charging. But don't expect, this isn't all about connectivity. There's no slot for an SD card. There's no additional USB ports. It really is kind of a standalone device. Music sounds pretty good. Let me play a little bit of a dubstep for you. Now, I know you don't like dubstep, but it'll give you a good sense of the bass, the loudness. It's pretty good. And because there's no fan, it's decent for watching YouTube videos, that kind of thing. One thing you're not going to want to do with it, though, is Skype. This is a VGA camera. I don't know if you can see how bad it is. It is terrible. It's grainy. It's blurry. I look like I'm talking to you from San Quentin. Not recommended. So if Skype or FaceTime is something you do a lot with your laptop, this is a very poor choice. It's also very expensive. The pricing starts at $1,300. That's for the base unit, which is a fairly slow processor. In order to get this baby thin and small and light and cool, no fan, they had to use the Intel Core M processor. The base unit, the $1,300 unit, is only 1.1 gigahertz. If you bump it up, as we did, this is the loaded model, $300 gets you a bigger hard drive and 1.2 gigahertz. Woo! 8 gigs of RAM, your choice of 256 gig hard drive for the base model, 512 gigabyte for the high-end model, a $300 more model. By the way, these are really fast. PCI Express, Apple has eked a lot of speed out of that, and that helps a little bit with a relatively slow processor. Battery life is good, too. We're getting, believe it or not, 8 or 9 hours per charge. This is kind of like an iPad when it comes to battery life. I'm very happy with that. But it's not a powerhouse. It is really designed to be something super portable that you can use to take notes, to write, to surf the web, to do e-commerce, to get email. And for that, if you can get used to the keyboard, I think it does a pretty good job. So let me give you the pros and cons on the new 2015 MacBook. Pros, the design is gorgeous. It's very thin, very light. That 12-inch screen is actually pretty good size, I think. Right between 11 and 13. It's big enough for me, and it certainly is a gorgeous Retina display. Speakers sound good. Battery life is great. I feel like I like the Force Touch trackpad now, the new trackpad. And I even got used to the keys, so I don't hate those. The cons, though, I will grant you are this Type-C connector. A single connector means this is not the choice for a pro. On the other hand, this is the first Apple laptop connector not to be proprietary, and that's huge. I expect to see a wide range of Type-C connectors, and that will bring the cost of additional adapters down quite a bit. The other con is the really terrible front-facing camera, and I gotta admit, the price. It is very expensive. This is kind of a luxury item. Apple's very good at making luxury items that you really want. I had to debate after we bought this one and I played with it a little bit. Did I really want it? I don't need another MacBook, but gosh, for traveling, for getting around, for throwing in the backpack, this thing is gorgeous. And I love, okay, I know I'm shallow. I love the gold. So I'm going to call it a buy if you understand the negatives. You really have to take those into account, particularly price. So a buy on the new 2015 MacBook. The base model will be fine, but we got the top-of-the-line model with more storage and a faster processor. By the way, I don't feel like the processor is particularly slow. Some have complained about that. As long as you're not, doing high-end 3D graphics or gaming, I think it's just fine. Again, a buy on the new MacBook.